Could you imagine what life would have been if I had missed those 2 passes? It'd been awful, Dan.
There would
There would have been no life.
I wouldn't have had a career.
You wouldn't have had me to pick on at this particular session.
I would have
I
had
know
nothing
that.
to say to the Arlington guys.
That hit there on that kickoff was interesting. It was John Pond that made that hit.
Mhm.
It was on the punt and kickoff team and a backup cornerback. But it just showed to me some of these guys really that weren't starters were really motivated also.
Yeah. Now, as they say, this was for all the marbles and bragging rights in Central Ohio, and as we speak 25 years later, it will always be here.
I'm starting to get those questions, though, Dan, like, what game? And you played when?
What Watterson game?
You played when?
It's still a very touchy subject with Arlington people, and we don't like to talk about it. If it was
a nice run by Timmy, I think he's off to the races here, all the way.
Yeah, I think that was a killer there.
This broke the back.
We were trading 3 and outs there, and then Wagner broke one for about 60 yards on. I think at that point it was going to be pretty difficult to come back.
That put the nail in the coffin early.
Here's Watterson's strength, extra points at that time.
Yeah, yeah, good one.
At
halftime, you talked a little bit about what Marv said at halftime. At halftime, Walker took us all into one spot in the locker room, and he had the meanest, ugliest look on his face I've ever seen. He said, "This game ain't over. It's only 20-0, and I don't want to see one of you giving up in the second half."
Yeah, he did scare us. We were all kind of trotting in there thinking, boy, this is fun. Now the second half will just be a little walk, and it really wasn't. And he kept us thinking that way.
Well, in this game, any team could have scored at any time, and it was no score, I think, was safe on either side.
Seemed to be a penalty-free game, if I remember correctly. There weren't a whole lot of penalties.
Here's something I noticed in this game, and they just ran looked like a pro set right, and just a straight dive off tackle, and they got about 12 yards. I never saw that play again. I was watching this the other night, and I thought, why didn't they just keep running that till we came inside?
Well, that was our trap. Dan Love was a fullback in that play, and
you're welcome.
That was a trap, and we had run it before, but it didn't.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, well, that was a. Tell you what, you got to give a lot of credit to all the coaching staffs, but I mean on our backfield play this night when Timmy Wagner ran, I think had.
There he goes again.
There he goes again.
2 inches from Marv Moorhead's feet.
And Marv
he was ready to stick his foot out, I'm sure.
The good sportsman he is, he didn't stick his foot out.
Well, I was.
My daughter, I was watching this film the other night, and my daughters made a comment. They said, "Look, Dad, all these people are cheering in the stands." And I said, that was probably back in an era when people really did cheer at football games. I said, they thought it was kind of strange. But the comment I was going to make about the coaching staff is that Ronnie Shea for Watterson did an excellent job with the offensive backs. I mean, if you see Wagner getting 250 yards and Schulteis, who didn't really get to be featured in this game, but he still did an excellent job blocking. And then also Pat Mannion with the line blocking, I thought they did an excellent job.
It was just an excellent coaching staff at Watterson that year, with Coach Walker and Ronnie Shea and Pat Mannion, and then support from people like Charlie Mennel and Skip Doyle and John Dorian.
Yeah. This is a formation. What's that? The Power I.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that we ever ran that Power I. I think that was only for the Arlington game. I'm not sure we did any good out of that Power I, but reviewing this, I was surprised to see that.
Do you remember how long you practiced on Thursday before the game?
I know it was dark. Well, I can't remember whether we practiced. One of those nights we practiced in the gym because it was raining. But no, I don't remember.
I think that was our only, was that a touchdown or an extra point?
That was Tom
That was
McGarry's
touchdown,
That was you.
pass reception.
Yeah, I thought so. What was that? That's 881, Tom Kish. Oh, mark it. I think I missed 8 balls.
Okay, 32 to nothing. He goes for 2. I get it.
Well, if you saw our kicking game, you'd understand why.
We had to make the spread. We had to make the spread.
Oh, well, I'm sure there were some bets on this one.
You can bet on that.
I heard some rumors about some substantial bets on from some of our fathers. The kids wouldn't do that.
Yeah, the fathers were into this one too. The whole state, I think, practically was in on it.
Nice throwback there. I don't know why they didn't do more of that. We really rotated very strongly with that offense because it's our good running offense.
Yeah, there's a couple drop passes.
Ball was right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole point here is just trying to score.
Yeah. I tell you, another thing we did against Arlington that night that we hadn't done all year was the defensive backs rotated to the quarterback instead of the backfield motion. So like on this play here, instead of rotating left, we rotated back to the right, which put us in position to interfere.
Good interference. Who was that, by the way, Tom?
I think that was Mike Hilliard.
You mean the starters were still in at this point?
You mean I stopped the rollout and did that?
I think Dan, I get your point there about the starters, but I think you'll see here.
No, I know. This was a championship game. Don't take anybody out. That's not, I'm just kidding.
No, I know. But you'll see there's an interception by Mike Hilliard. He took it out of my hands. I'll never forget that play. But I tell you right now, what you're going to see is that's Schulteis, but I think you're going to see it at half.
15. Get that 15 down.
You're going to see at the halfback. You're going to see Larry Guglielmi, and he plays well. Not on this play, but he has 4 or 5 good runs before the end of the game.
Tom, I think one of the significant things about this ball club is that there's a lot of players that weren't starting that could come in and play a meaningful role in the outcome of the ball game.
I agree. That was Larry Guglielmi.
Nice run by Larry.
He was. Here's Larry. Well, no, that was a fake to Larry, and this is Motel on a bootleg. I think they finally caught on to that, and we lost about 15 yards.
I think then he had a
That's a
penalty
strange formation, isn't it? Do you see that?
Now this is Larry again.
Looks like
Yeah,
a T.
that's Goog. Yeah.
That's a power eye right there.
Yeah. And it's hard to read some of these numbers, but
Yeah, you're going to want to.
here's a trivia question: who was our punter back then?
We didn't have one.
Michael Maley.
That's right, Michael Malin.
Sorry, Michael.
You know, Tom, I warmed up as punter before this game, and the adrenaline was pumping, and I boomed one about 50 yards. But then came game time, and didn't take a snap.
I missed the point there.
Yeah, I did too, but I don't want to bring that up.
I missed the point. I mean,
was going with adrenaline, I
you
think.
obviously were our second team punter, and they didn't.
No, I hadn't punted all year.
Oh, okay.
And I just practiced a few punts that week, and I warmed up that ball game tonight.
Okay.
I think you've got John Biddle in at quarterback now.
Well, as the clock ticks down, man, it's been my pleasure to be here with you guys tonight, and this game will last the memory of all the people that played in it to our graves, I'm sure. And you earned it, and you deserved it, and it's the way it turned out. And hats off to you,
Yeah,
champions.
We appreciate that, and you know, like we said earlier, that we were fortunate. This game, the score did not indicate how closely matched these two teams actually were. We got up early, and it made it difficult, and you know, it could have gone the other way if Arlington got 2 quick scores. It could have been exactly the opposite, and I think the following year something like that did happen with Arlington coming back and beating Watterson substantially.
Well, you've got two great programs playing each other for the first time, and this is certainly a ball game that Central Ohio, really the state of Ohio, will never forget.
Well, they sure haven't had anything like this in Central Ohio since. And now we've got the playoffs. That might happen again, but this certainly was a place in time that will go down in history of Central Ohio high school football.
And there's Bob Bryant knifing through again and making a nice play. He was all around Brian Kitchen's ankles that night.
And Brian Kitchen is still putting the ball up, trying to put some points on the board. And on the last play of the ball game here, John Strange picks it off for Watterson, and before the clock runs out, gives the ball what the paper called a strange toss, threw the ball up in the air, and if Arlington had caught that ball and returned it, it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah, here's
John
the play
takes
right
off
there,
with the ball.
and then all of a sudden, boom, throws the ball in the air.
Mm-hmm.
That game's history.
Yep. Yep.
It's surprising, though, Dan, that you still run into people that were 5 or 6 years younger, 5 or 6 years older,
Mm-hmm.
and they start talking about that game, and it gets a little, you know, that some of the details are a little wrong at times, but for the most part, you know, it's nice to hear them talking about it on our part, and you know, I'm just glad we were fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time.
Here's a classic shot.
Yeah, excellent shot. You can see the respect on both those men's faces right there. I mean, there's no, you know, quick handshake into the locker room. It's, you know, congratulations, coach, in both ways.
Yeah.
And again, I think both sides owed a great deal to the coaching staffs.
Watterson's 32-0 victory over Upper Arlington gave them the state championship according to Associated Press and United Press International. Dick Walker would coach his last game in that game, then would go on to Toledo, Navy, Ohio State, and Pittsburgh Steelers. And Marv Moorhead had 3 more undefeated seasons in succession following that game before his retirement. You might also recall, and this is good for you trivia buffs, this was the only game ever televised live, high school game, in the state of Ohio. Soon after that game, the Ohio High School Athletic Association met, decided too many fans were taken away from other games around Central Ohio, and forbid the live broadcasting of high school games from that point on. I might also add that in the Catholic Times, the Catholic newspaper, following that game, the sports writer there said Dick Shore, the play-by-play announcer, must have been a graduate of Upper Arlington. Well, to set the record straight, I am Catholic. I was secretly rooting for Watterson. I canceled my subscription and have never renewed it since. Our thanks to Mike Case in the Watterson Development and Alumni Office. Good evening, everybody.
The Eagles out of the huddle, the second first down of the ball game for them. Boyd split out far to the right, the flanker, T formation. Bootlegging the ball is Motil, back to pass, downfield it goes to Hilliard at the 10, the 5, he's over for the score. Mike Hilliard all alone, right in the center of the field, and Motil laid it right in his arms. Watterson draws first blood on T formation. Brian Kitchen rolling out to the left to pass, caught that left arm being press. Downfield it goes. Looks like it's intercepted by Strange. He's up to the 30, the 35, the 40, and the ball game is over. Strange throws the ball in the air before the game is over, and an Arlington player dives in there and catches it, and pandemonium reigns supreme on the field.
Boy, I think that's the understatement of the year when you say pandemonium, but I see the players are out there all congratulating each other, and incidentally, Martin...